All right, so get this. You guys have sent us a ton of stuff about this live-action Tangled, like another Disney princess remake. I'm definitely interested. What is the real deal here?
Well, yeah, you're right to be curious. Disney's been doing a lot of these live-action remakes, no doubt about it. Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, they're all back on the big screen, but with real people this time. You know what? People are loving it. These remakes are making a lot of money at the box office.
Yeah, but I mean, is it all just for the money? Playing on nostalgia? Or could it actually, do something new? I'm trying to be hopeful here.
I get it. There's always that worry with remakes, right? But Tangled, think about Tangled for a second. Back in 2010, it was really something new. For princess movies, I mean. It made over $590 million all over the world. And Rapunzel, she was like a modern princess, kind of adventurous, this live action thing. It could be Disney's chance to like build on that, maybe even take it in new directions.
Okay, you got me thinking. So who's in charge here? What do we know about the people making it?
The director is Michael Gracey. He did The Greatest Showman. Remember those musical numbers?
Oh yeah, The Greatest Showman was like amazing to look at. So you think this is a good thing for Tangled?
Yeah.
Because the original has all those great songs. I See the Light still, like, gives me chills.
Yeah, exactly. Gracey knows how to do a musical number, make it look good on screen. And Tangled, it has the songs, the
Yeah.
material to really work well with that. But here's something interesting. He's also doing this movie, an adaptation of Nevermore. It's a kid's book about like a magic world.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one. It has some pretty cool visuals.
It does. And that style, that mix of fantasy and real stuff, it could work really well for Tangled. Think about it. Floating lanterns, a kingdom with all these crazy characters, Rapunzel's magical hair, working on Nevermore. It might give Gracie some cool ideas for how to make all that look real.
Interesting. So we've got the music, like, taken care of, potentially. But what about the story itself? What can we figure out about the screenwriter, Jennifer Caton Robinson?
Well, she's done a bunch of different stuff. It's interesting. She wrote Someone Great. That's a romantic comedy. And then she co-wrote Thor, Love and Thunder.
Hold on, Thor. That's a pretty big jump from a rom-com.
It is. And Thor, Love and Thunder.
Well, let's just say it had a very particular sense of humor. Some people loved it, others not so much. It'll be interesting to see what she does with Tangled. If she goes for that kind of humor again or something more, something everyone will like.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Taking Tangled, a story everybody loves, and giving it that Thor humor could be a little risky, but maybe that's what Disney wants, something a little different,
Maybe. And let's not forget, there's the whole thing about doing animation in real life. It's not just finding actors. It's about making all those fantastical things look real in a real world setting. I mean, right. And speaking of fantastical things, how are they going to do Rapunzel's hair? 70 feet of glowing magical hair.
Yeah.
That has to be a visual effects nightmare.
Yeah, no kidding. That's going to be a big challenge. But visual effects, they've gotten a lot better. I'm sure they'll try everything they can. The question is, will it look real? Will it feel as magical as the animated hair?
Good point. I guess we'll have to see. But while we're on the subject of looks, let's talk about the actors. What are the rumors saying?
Well, people have been saying Timothée Chalamet might play Flynn Rider.
Oh, wow. That's a big name. Zachary Levi. He really owned that role in the original. Big shoes to fill.
Absolutely. And Mandy Moore as Rapunzel, she was so warm and heartfelt. Like, it'll be hard for anyone to do that again. Makes you wonder, who would you cast? What kind of qualities would you be looking for?
That is a great question. Let me think about that for a sec. But before I get totally lost in fantasy casting, let's remember what we're talking about here. Tangled was huge.
Right. A short film, a TV series, tons of merchandise. I See the Light is practically like a Disney anthem now.
Exactly. So this live action version, it has a lot to live up to. It's not just a remake. It's trying to be part of this whole legacy. And so if I was like casting this movie, right, I'd want someone who could really get that adventurous part of Rapunzel. That thing about wanting to, get out of the tower.
Yeah.
And see the world, and of course they have to like totally nail those songs. So no pressure. Right.
Yeah, you've hit on some important points there. It's not just about looking the part. They gotta be Rapunzel. That mix of being naive and determined, and don't forget about the singing. When Will My Life Begin is basically every teenager's like theme song.
Yeah, totally. You want another Cats situation. The singing has to be like really good. But going back to this whole animation to live action thing, what other challenges do you see?
tone. Tangled is, it's funny, but it also has heart, and it has that classic Disney fairy tale feel. Doing that in live action without it being like cheesy or fake, it's going to be tough.
Right. You don't want it to get too serious and lose that fun energy, but you don't want it to be all like fluff, no substance. How do you think Gracey's style, how will that like affect things?
That's a good question. The Greatest Showman was definitely like, all about the spectacle. But some critics thought it wasn't emotionally deep enough. Could that happen with Tangled? Will he go for those big musical numbers? And forget about the characters. It's a risk for sure.
I hadn't thought about it like that. It's like you get so caught up in the looks and the music that you forget about connecting with the characters, But then again, we have Jennifer Caton Robinson. She's good at writing characters you really care about.
Yeah. She is, and her films like Someone Great and Do Revenge, they show that she's not afraid to like go to some darker places, even in a comedy, So maybe she can bring some of that to Tangled.
Okay, so we have this potential clash of styles. Gracey with the spectacle, Robinson with the characters. Could this be a disaster? Or could it be like totally amazing? What do you think?
Honestly, it's hard to say right now. It could go either way, but that's what makes this whole thing so interesting, right? It's something new, uncharted territory. This isn't just a remake. It could be something really, really different.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
I love a movie that keeps you guessing. But let's not forget about the fans. Tangled has a lot of them, really dedicated fans. Do you think they'll be okay with this new interpretation?
That's the big question. Fandoms, they can be very protective of the things they love, and anything different from the original can make them angry. But I also think there's curiosity, a willingness to see how these classic stories can be, reimagined for a new generation.
Yeah, it's a balancing act. You got to honor the original, but also bring something new. Speaking of new, do you think this live-action Tangled could lead to other things like sequels, spin-offs, maybe even a whole cinematic universe?
I wouldn't be surprised at all. If this movie is a hit, Disney will definitely want to make more, And there's a lot of material to work with. Mother Gothel's backstory could be like a whole movie on its own. Or we could learn more about the kingdom itself.
Ooh, I love that idea. Imagine like a political thriller set in the Tangled world. Intrigue, betrayals, maybe even a revolution.
Now you're talking. The possibilities are really endless. But let's go back for a second and think about the original Tangled as a huge success. Why? What do you think it was that people loved so much?
Well, I think Rapunzel is a big part of it. She's not your typical, damsel in distress. She's tough, she's smart, and she wants to make her own choices. Someone young girls can look up to,
Absolutely. And the music, like we said, it's so catchy. Those songs are like part of Disney history now. But I also think there's something about the story itself that's timeless. It's about finding your own way, breaking free, discovering the world outside your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's that classic coming of age story, but with magic, And I think the relationship between Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, that's a big part of it too. They're this unlikely pair, but they have this chemistry. And that they learn so much from each other.
It's classic, opposites attract, but it's done so well in Tangled. They challenge each other, they make each other better, and their banter, it's so funny. If they can do that in the live action version, it could be really, really special.
Speaking of special, I'm curious to hear what you think about this. We've talked about all the challenges of adapting Tangled, but what about the good stuff? What could this film do if they get it right?
Well, if they get the casting right, the visuals, the tone, it could be a really magical experience. Imagine seeing Rapunzel's hair for real on the big screen, feeling those lantern scenes, hearing those songs live.
Oh, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. But beyond all that, I think this film could like introduce Tangled to a whole new group of people, kids who haven't seen the original or who are seeing it again in a new way.
That's a good point. And if it can create that same sense of wonder and delight in a new audience, then it'll have done something really, really special.
I agree. But let's not forget about what this could mean for the whole franchise. A successful live-action Tangled could lead to so many cool new projects.
Right. We talked about sequels and spin-offs, but it could also lead to new merchandise, new stuff at the theme parks, even a stage show.
A Tangled musical on Broadway. I'd be there.
Me too. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We're still early in this whole process. We don't even know who the actors are yet.
True. But that's what makes it so exciting. All the speculation, the waiting.
Exactly. And that's what we love about these deep dives, right? We get to really dig in, explore everything, and ultimately get excited about it all.
It's like we're on this journey with the filmmakers, the actors, the fans, and we don't know where it's going to take us.
That's the beauty of it. And sometimes the unexpected things, they're the most rewarding.
Speaking of unexpected things, let's go back to Michael Gracey for a minute. We talked about Nevermore and how its visuals might influence Tangled, but he's also doing this movie about Luciano Pavarotti, the opera singer.
Right. He seems to like stories about big personalities, people who use their voices to inspire, to entertain.
That's an interesting connection.
Yeah.
And Pavarotti's story, it's full of like drama, passion, and of course, incredible music. Do you think any of that will make its way into Tangled?
It's possible. Maybe we'll see the music done in a more operatic way, or maybe the story will really get into Rapunzel's emotional journey as she finds her own voice, literally and figuratively.
That's an interesting thought. It's like Gracie is bringing all these different influences to the project, and it's hard to know how they'll all like come together in the end.
Exactly, and that's what makes him such an exciting director. He's not afraid to experiment, to push boundaries, to take risks.
And sometimes those risks, they really pay off. Look, The Greatest Showman, it was a huge success. Maybe he can do the same with Tangled.
We can hope. But speaking of risks, let's talk about Jennifer Caton Robinson for a sec. We know she's done all sorts of things, rom-coms, superhero movies. But one of her projects, it stands out to me. It could be really relevant to Tangled.
Which one is that?
Do Revenge. It's a teen comedy, yeah, but it also has this dark humor, and it deals with betrayal, manipulation, and in the end, empowerment.
Intriguing.
Yeah.
How do you see those themes connecting to Tangled?
Well, think about Mother Gothel. She's a master manipulator. She keeps Rapunzel isolated, under her control. And Rapunzel, she goes through this whole journey of self-discovery and empowerment as she breaks free from Gothel. Maybe Robinson will really explore those themes, give us a more complex look at their relationship.
Wow. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. There's a lot there to explore the darker side of fairy tales, the psychological stuff that can happen, even in a loving relationship.
And that's what makes Robinson such a great writer. She can take these familiar ideas and turn them upside down, give us stories that are both entertaining and make you think.
I'm starting to think this Tangled movie might be a lot more subversive than we thought.
Maybe so. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. It could be what the franchise needs to stay fresh, to appeal to people today.
I agree. Sometimes you need to shake things up a bit. But let's not forget about the other people behind the scenes. What about the producers, Kristen Burr and Lucy Kitad? What can they bring to the project?
Well, Kristen Burr has done a lot of different things. Comedies like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent and family adventures like Dora and the Lost City of Gold.
So she knows how to do both humor and spectacle. Sounds like a good fit for Tangled. What about Lucy Kitad?
She's known for more grounded, character-driven stuff, like the Netflix series The Babysitter's Club.
So she brings that human element, the focus on relationships.
Interesting. It seems like they've put together a team with a lot of different skills and experiences.
They have, and that's so important for a project like this because it needs that balance of creativity, technical stuff, and really understanding the original story.
Right. You need people who can see the big picture, but also pay attention to the little details, the things that make a difference.
And it seems like they have that. So we have a director with a vision, a writer who's good with words, and a team of producers who know how to make a story come alive. What could go wrong?
Famous last words, right? But seriously, I'm feeling more optimistic about this project. The more we learn about it, it could be really special.
I agree. And that's what makes these deep dives so great. We get to go beyond the surface, to understand what's going on, and to see the potential of what this film could be.
It's like we're peeking behind the curtain and watching the magic happen.
Exactly. And sometimes the behind-the-scenes stuff is just as interesting as the finished product.
Okay, we've talked about the creative team, the challenges, the possibilities, but what about the heart of it all? What do you think is the main message of Tangled? The thing that connects with people no matter how old they are?
Well, at its core, I think Tangled is about about finding yourself,
Mm.
about finding your own voice and breaking free from the things that hold you back. It's about being your best self, even if it means, going against what people expect
Mm.
or challenging the way things are.
And it's about connection, how even the most unlikely people can find something in common and help each other grow. Absolutely. Rapunzel and Flynn Rider, they come from completely different worlds, but they learn so much from each other, and their journey together is both funny and heartwarming.
I think that's why the film connects with so many people. We all want to break free, to find our place in the world, to connect with people who get us.
It's a universal thing, and Tangled captures it really well.
And hopefully this live action version will do the same, bring that message of hope and empowerment to a whole new audience.
I have a good feeling about it, but we'll have to see what kind of magic they create.
That's the fun part, right? The anticipation, the
Yeah.
wondering, all the possibilities.
Exactly. And that's what keeps us coming back for more of these deep dives.
Speaking of deep dives, there's one part of Tangled we haven't really talked about yet, the look of it. The animation in the original is so unique with the colors, the lines. It's almost like a painting. How do you think they'll do that in live action?
That's a great question. And it's one of the biggest challenges they face. They can't just copy the animation. They have to find a way to do it in live action that captures the same feeling, the same energy.
Right, it has to be both familiar and new.
And that's where Michael Gracey's visual style could really come in. He's known for creating these rich, immersive worlds. I'm curious to see what he does with the look of Tangled.
Me too.
Yeah.
Will he go for a realistic look or something more stylized? Will he use a lot of CGI or just a little?
Those are all good questions. And I think it depends on a lot of things, the budget, the technology, and of course, what Gracey wants to do.
Right. It's about finding that balance between art, technology, and telling a good story. And hopefully they'll find the right way to make the world of Tangled come alive in a way that's both visually amazing and emotionally powerful.
I think they can do it, but let's not forget about the other important thing, the music. Tangled has some of the best songs in any Disney movie, and they'll need to be handled carefully.
Oh, for sure. Those songs are like classics, and the fans will be like listening very closely to how they're done in the live action version.
And that's where Michael Gracey's experience with musicals could be really helpful. He knows how to make musical numbers that are both visually impressive and moving.
And it's not just about the spectacle,
Yeah.
The songs have to fit the story. They have to make the emotions stronger, and they have to feel right for the characters.
Right. And hopefully they'll find that balance between staying true to the original songs and giving them a new modern feel.
Maybe they'll even add some new songs to give the live action Tangled its own musical identity.
That would be cool. And it would give the film a chance to be its own thing, not just a copy of the original.
I'm already thinking of new song titles. Rapunzel's Revenge Ballad, Flynn's Redemption Rap.
Uh-huh. I can't wait to hear those. But let's talk about something else for a minute. The legacy of Tangled. Why has this film connected with so many people, and what can the live action movie learn from that success?
Well, I think one reason Tangled is so successful is because of Rapunzel. She's not your typical princess. She's strong, she's independent, she wants to break free from her tower and see the world on her own terms.
Absolutely. And she's not just physically strong, she's strong emotionally too. She's been through a lot, but she never gives up. She never loses her sense of wonder.
And I think that's what makes her so relatable, especially for young girls. She's a role model. She shows you that you can be strong, but also vulnerable, that you can face your fears and achieve your dreams.
And the film doesn't shy away from the harder parts of her story. She was kidnapped and manipulated by Mother Gothel, and she has to deal with that to move on.
Right. It's a coming-of-age story, but it's also about healing, about finding your own voice.
And I think that's a message that speaks to everyone. We all have times in our lives when we feel stuck, when we need to break free from something.
And Tangled reminds us that it's never too late to start over, to find your own way, to create your own happy ending.
Beautifully put. And I hope this live action movie will capture that same spirit, that same sense of hope and empowerment.
I think it will.
Yeah.
But let's not forget about the humor. Tangled is a really funny movie with all sorts of comedy,
Right. And that humor is important. It balances out the more serious parts of the story. It keeps things light, and it helps us connect with the characters.
And it's not just like silly humor. It's smart. It's witty.
Exactly. The film doesn't treat the audience like they're stupid. It respects their intelligence.
And I think that's another reason why Tangled is so popular. It's a movie that people of all ages can enjoy,
Mhm.
and you can watch it over and over again.
I agree. It's a classic.
And hopefully this live-action adaptation will capture that same magic, that same blend of humor, heart, and adventure.
I have a good feeling about it. But before we get too excited, let's address the elephant in the room. Disney has been making a lot of these live action remakes.
Yeah, a lot. Some people might be like tired of them by now, wondering if they're just, a way to make money. So doing something new.
I get it. And it's true, not all remakes are good. Some are better than others, and some feel more cynical.
But I think it's important to remember that each remake is its own thing, with its own creative team, its own vision, its own challenges.
Absolutely. And with Tangled, we have a lot to be excited about. We have a talented director, a writer with a fresh perspective, and producers who seem to really care about the original story.
We have a story that's timeless, that everyone can relate to, that's full of potential.
Exactly. So while I understand why some people might be hesitant about all these remakes, I think it's important to be open-minded and see what each one has to offer.
Well said.
Hmm.
And who knows, maybe this live-action Tangled will surprise us and become a new classic.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, we've covered a lot today,
Mhm.
from the director's vision to the writer's style, from the challenges to the possibilities. We've really explored this upcoming Tangled movie. But before we wrap things up, let's talk about one last very important question. What about the casting? We know there have been rumors, but what are we really looking for in the actors who will play these iconic characters?
That's the big question, right? Casting can make or break a movie, and with Tangled, the stakes are high. We're not just looking for actors who look right for the parts. We need actors who can really be those characters, who can capture their humor, their heart, their sense of adventure.
Right. Zachary Levi and Mandy Moore, they were so good in the original, it'll be tough to follow them.
It will. And it's not just about singing. They need to have that charisma, that chemistry, that emotional depth to make us believe in these characters, to make us believe in their story.
So let's pretend we're casting directors for a minute.
Yeah.
What are we looking for in our live-action Rapunzel and Flynn Rider?
Well, for Rapunzel, we need someone who can show both her innocence and her strength, her naivety and her determination. She is a young woman who's been sheltered, but she's also curious. She wants adventure. We need an actress who can show that wonder, but who can also show us that she's tough underneath it all.
And she needs to have amazing hair, right? I mean, that's kind of her thing.
Of course. But it's more than just, how long it is or what color it is. It needs to be expressive. It needs to show her emotions. It needs to be part of her personality. Think about how her hair moves in the animated film. It's almost like another character.
It's a good point. It's not just, a prop. It's part of who she is.
Exactly. And for Flynn Rider, we need someone who can be charming, but also a bit of a rogue. Witty, but also, vulnerable. He's a thief with a good heart, and we need an actor who can make us believe in his transformation, his journey from bad guy to good guy.
And he needs to have that chemistry with Rapunzel, that spark that makes their relationship work.
Absolutely. Their banter, their adventures, their growing feelings for each other. It all has to feel real, natural, and in the end, heartwarming.
So yeah, it's a lot to ask. But I'm sure somewhere out there, the perfect Rapunzel and Flynn Rider are waiting to be found.
I agree. And whoever they are, I can't wait to see them bring these characters to life.
Me too. It's going to be magical. But while we wait for more casting news and updates on the production, let's keep those lanterns lit and let our imaginations run wild.
Because the world of Tangled is full of possibilities, and this live-action movie is just the beginning of a whole new chapter.
I can't wait to see where it takes us. Okay, I'm already picturing it, the announcements, the premieres, everyone online arguing about whether it's as good as the original. But you know what? I think we need to step back for a second and look at the bigger picture, the whole thing.
You're right. We've been so focused on this one movie that we almost forgot to zoom out and see where it fits,
Exactly. So what is it about these live-action remakes?
Mm.
Why are they so popular? With studios, with audiences, even with us? Like the people who do these deep dives.
Nostalgia, I think. That's a big part of it. These Disney movies, they're special to us, and seeing them come to life again, it brings back those good feelings from when we were kids.
That's like seeing your old friend again,
Yeah.
but different, And for kids today who maybe haven't seen the original movies, it's a chance to discover the magic for the first time.
True, but it's not just about about copying the original. These remakes, they give us a chance to look at these stories again with fresh eyes to see how they hold up, and maybe even to update them for today's world.
You mean like those old Disney movies that have some things that
Yeah.
haven't aged well? Maybe the live action remakes can fix those things
Great.
and make them more inclusive, more relevant for people today.
Exactly. Take Beauty and the Beast, for example. The live action version, they made Belle a stronger character, gave her more agency. And in The Little Mermaid, they changed some of the lyrics to deal with issues of consent.
That's interesting. So it's not just about like updating the look of the movie, it's about the themes, the messages, and making sure they fit with
Yeah.
how we think today.
Exactly. And I think that's really important for these remakes to be successful. They got to balance the nostalgia with something new, something fresh.
Entangled with its themes of self-discovery, empowerment, challenging the way things are. It seems like it's perfect for this kind of re-examination, especially with Jennifer Kaytin Robinson. She's known for being witty and for tackling those tough social issues.
I agree. She could really bring something unique to this movie, explore those themes in a way that's both meaningful and entertaining.
Okay, we've talked about nostalgia, relevance, creative freedom, but let's be real. Disney is also making a lot of money from these remakes.
Of course. It would be silly to think that money doesn't matter. But I do think there's more to it than that. These films, they tap into something we all want. Shared experiences, stories that connect us, no matter how old we are.
And when they're done well, they can be both successful and good art.
Exactly. And I think that's the key. When a remake feels like it was made with love, when it really tries to honor the original, but also do something new, that's when it really connects with people.
And I think that's what we all want from this live action Tangled. We want it to be magical like the original, but we also want it to surprise us, to be even better in some ways.
Absolutely. We want to be swept away by the music, by the visuals, to be moved by the story, and to leave the theater feeling like we saw something special, something that both honors the past and shows us the future of storytelling.
That's a great way to put it. And I think it really gets to the heart of what these remakes are all about. The power of stories to bring us together, to inspire us, to remind us of the magic of movies.
Well said. And as we wait for this live-action Tangled, let's keep those lanterns lit and our imaginations open.
Because who knows what's waiting for us in this new world of
Mm.
golden hair, charming thieves, and dreams that light up the sky.
And with that, we'll wrap up this deep dive into the live-action Tangled. We hope you've enjoyed exploring all the ins and outs of this upcoming film.
If you have any thoughts, any theories, any dream casting choices, be sure to share them with us. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, stay curious, keep asking questions, and never stop looking for those stories that make the world a brighter place.